Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.
Okay. Starting now. Okay.
You're so funny.
So
Don't overthink it.
surely
Have you seen the movie? What's it called? Good Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't overthink it. Just do it.
Is that what they do in Good Dinosaur?
I have
That's
no
a
idea.
long time.
They do a podcast about photography.
So for me, photography is all about capturing sort of special moments that that you don't want to forget. I try not to take too many pictures like of my kids. It's always tempting to kind of always be on the phone recording everything. I try and kind of live in the moment, but also sometimes I really would like to look back and especially show them when they're older, all those special moments.
Okay, so your name is Asher Chan.
Mm-hmm.
It's confusing for me because my Asher to me is like I have a cousin Asher.
Mm-hmm. Are they male?
Well, yeah, no. So what is the etymology? Like, where you have more than one name? Like, where is this? Okay, some people just pick a name.
Well, my mother grew up all over the place. She grew up in Africa and she lived in Iran for a while. So I think she kind of picked a name that was a little bit more unusual. It was either Asher or Soroya, I believe.
Oh.
And I feel like my personality would definitely not suit Soroya. That's a crazy name. So I used to really, really dislike my name as a child.
Oh, it's bitching good.
I love it now,
Yeah,
for sure. When I was a kid, I was just desperate for a normal name, close
Sure.
normal name.
Jennifer.
Yeah, Sophie was my dream name, just
okay.
because I had like 3 Sophies in my class and I just wanted to blend in. But now, I've really embraced it now. And now I really
People
like
who listen to the podcast a little bit, there are a lot of different themes. One of them is making the most out of every second of your life.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is interpreting the world aesthetically. Mm-hmm. One of them, unfortunately, seems to be Jennifer. Like every once in a while, that's just like my go-to name. So I'm a bit of an idiot that way. Asher, thank you. Okay, I have to describe. Okay, so the room, we're in your living room in your apartment. Like a lunatic, you let me. You invited me into your house.
Very trusting person.
Yeah, obviously a little. We'll get to that later. So we're in Hong Kong. The view that I see is you're there, and behind you is framed like this bay window with the big estates that go super high to the 50th floor. Thank you so much. I stumbled onto your photographs, and there's a kind of like a sweetness, I guess. Like in terms of people's aesthetic. There's it's just look. Maybe now that we get to know you, you're actually a full on like insane psychopath
Awful person, yeah.
who invites strangers into their house and then kills them.
Accept their invitation. I didn't invite you.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're right. I invited myself.
You invited yourself. Yeah, that's even worse. Typical serial killer move.
Oh, yeah. No, I have this podcast, you see? 46 episodes. Oh, haha. Let's just go into the first picture. Sure. Let me describe it. I love describing these images because people on the podcast cannot see it. It's entitled "Laughing Baby," and it's like the perfect, sweetest Buddha face. Okay, so first of all, the background of the image is the bright, full on. It could be Chinese. It could be it's a temple. It could be in Taiwan. Probably not, but so you see like a golden lion on the outside of the entranceway. You got the red and the gold with some blue and dragons and all this stuff. Very nice. And the half of the image, it's like you cannot. Babies are cute. Babies are cute, right? It's a cliche, but here is this baby, who the biggest cheeks. The sweetest, warmest, cutest eyes, bald is bald, full on bald. Like this is a little baby Buddha, wearing this cute little how old is she?
In this picture?
Yeah.
Three months old.
How many?
3 months.
3 months old. So listen,
Maybe 4.
young baby. So sweet, so cute. As a photograph, it's like, hold on a second. The baby isn't in focus. All that garbage. But, if you're feeling down, check out the photograph. It's so sweet. Okay, so what's the story? Why?
I just love this picture because it just, every single time, like no matter how many times I look at it, it makes me smile. It's just such an authentic she was just laughing so much. This is my middle girl, Erin. And this was taken pretty much when we just moved to Hong Kong. We moved here when she was 3 months. I think she was about 3 or 4 months in this picture. And yeah, she was just always laughing. Like she just had that personality where just everything was fun and light for her.
It's so, it's so, if only people could express that kind of purity,
sure.
it's so sweet.
But also, this picture was taken close to where we live, in Sha Tin at the 10,000 Buddhas monastery.
Got it.
And yeah, I kind of like the fact that she does look very Buddha in the picture as well. So it kind of suits the background. And also, we used to go to this place an awful lot. It's just such a special place, really calming. It's up in the mountains. There's lots of nature around. You often see monkeys there, which the children used to love before they started to get a little bit too close and they kind of stole our food sometimes.
Sure.
But yeah, just a really special place. And also, I went there on the last day of my pregnancy with my youngest to try and kind of kickstart everything.
Oh, wow.
So I walked up there as this giant pregnant blob, red-faced, really, like I thought I might die. Had 2 fans pointed at me.
Oh, wow.
And everyone was like sort of looking on very worried, like, what are you doing?
When's her birthday?
So her birthday is April the 4th. So yeah, so it would have been the 3rd. So very hot as well. Birthday.
When is this photo taken? What month?
I guess December, January.
Yeah, okay. Because she's wearing a sweater, yeah.
September, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a very special place to the whole family. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's why I like this image.
Was this kind of a snap shot from your phone, or did you have your camera? Or?
Just my phone. This one was,
okay.
yeah. Just a nice, just trying to capture her. The joyous mood that she was often in as a baby.
I think it says a lot also about who you are as a person. So the environment we're in right now, we're in your house. There, you clearly have young children. You've got children. So there's a synthesizer on the left. There's art, children's art all over the walls. There's toys everywhere. It's like it's kind of that buoyant sort of happiness, like through the quasi hallway. I can see a door, and on it there's a bunch of artwork with the flying witches and then I ask you, okay, well, I'm doing this thing about photography and its role and how people interpret the world and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Send me 3 photographs, and it's so telling that the first one you send me is of this heartwarming, beautiful. So you're a dark person.
Oh, you think?
You are so dark. I mean, like, holy
that is the last place I expected that sentence to end.
You are not dark at all. Oh my goodness, dude. Yeah, so, it's such a loud signal of what you're like. And it's really great. Do you want to say anything else about this image?
No.
It's so. If you're feeling sad and you want to be picked up, check out the photo. It'll warm your heart. You dark, cruel person. Do you want to start with this one or this one first?
The ice cream.
The ice cream. And you told me earlier that it explains why you have such a thick Peruvian accent.
My fake Welsh accent. Well, I'll explain a bit about the background of the photo first. So it was taken in an ice cream shop in Wales, in Beaumaris, called Red Boat Ice Cream Shop, I believe. So we were there visiting Wales. We pre-COVID, we would go there every single summer and spend our summers there. This was a really lovely holiday. So we all went there, all got ice creams, and my daughter was just licking her ice cream, and all of a sudden, both of us looked down at her ice cream, and we both just noticed that there was a tiny face.
Perfect,
lovely little face in her ice cream. It just looked so kind of so perfect that
Placed.
it looks so placed. But when we both just our
She was
eyes
messing
just
with you, man. She was so messing with you. She was on the
she dug in there.
They're going to
and
be talking
hid
about
them.
this for years.
But so our eyes just we both just kind of open mouthed, just looked at each other like, oh my God, there's a face. And yeah, it was just a really sweet memory of me and my eldest daughter, Mena.
Nice. Let me describe the photo, if I may interrupt you so meanly.
Sure. No.
Okay, so aesthetically, so it's a snapshot. So the background is an out of focus table, wooden table, and you can sort of see the warm kind of tones of like reds and yellows and browns, and then held up, cutting.
Did my version clip it? Did I
know.
send it to you clipped?
Maybe that's what I've got right there.
Oh, I will send you the real one then.
Okay, so
Not clipped.
it's fine. And a hand. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that would work much better. So a hand is holding up the ice cream. So it's a beautifully. Oh, so I see it. It's more of a table or a desk, and sure enough, it's this perfect little smiley face with, I guess, chocolate chips for eyes and a little. What's that called? This a little fleck of chocolate making the mouth, and it's not just like. Of course, we see faces wherever we go, and we, as a human thing, we can't help but see that face. And the mouth is this perfect cartoon mouth. You know, it's like boink. I'm a little baby. You know, it's just like I could totally see how I'd be like, hey.
Like,
this is so.
It just looks so placed, but it really wasn't. It was really an accident.
How old was your daughter at the time?
I think this was 2 summers ago, so she would have been 8.
8. Old enough to with you.
Older, yeah. I know, maybe, yeah.
Just like
she's gonna listen to this and be like,
"Oh, okay, I'll bleep that out. I'll bleep that out." But she'll be like, "This is totally gonna." She's gonna be talking about this like in a few years.
Pranking me from an early age.
Awesome.
She'll be like, 2 years from now, Mammy's gonna be sat on a podcast, not realizing she's making a fool of herself.
All right, sucker. No, it's great. It's very sweet. Clearly, the question is, well, why this? Like, why? I mean, beyond the emotional reaction, as a decision, why decide to go with that?
So for me, it was just a lovely, spontaneous moment. Again, it just brought me so much joy. But also, for me, this kind of symbolises our trips back to Wales. And like I said to you before, you know, I moved to Wales when I was 18 for university and lived there for most of my adult life until I moved to Hong Kong. And I just absolutely fell in love with Wales. It's just so good, so cool, so like, it's just so beautiful, so many cultural things that I just love about it. Me and my husband, we both learnt Welsh to fluency as adults. And so now we speak Welsh to all the kids,
wow.
Even here. And if you notice, all of the books are Welsh. Can
I ask you, can I put you on the spot? Mm-hmm. Can you please say, I'm currently being interviewed by an idiot, and he asked me to speak in Welsh.
Rwan, dwi'n cael fy cyfweliad gan... What is idiot in Welsh?
Ran will do.
Okay. Rwan, dwi'n mynd ar podcast efo'r rhyw dyn twp o'r enw Ran. And then what was the rest of it?
I don't remember.
Dwi'n meddwl mae'n person neis, ond dwi'n meddwl mae'n bach yn twp.
באמת?
Okay. I've lived a little bit.
אל תדברי ככה, אני אדבר ככה, וזה בסדר, נכון? Or is you got a different one?
Leis ddim sy'n gong jwng man, daw hai.
At the time. Don't start.
I'm going to raise you a Chinese.
You're showing off now. Nice. Put me in my place. So clearly, what you studied in university must have been something really awful. What were you studying in university?
It was psychology. And I also studied criminology, hence the awful dark side. That
Really?
just radiates
Really? Criminology?
Yes, yeah.
So how many years was that program?
So I actually dropped out of that program to study Welsh and to have my eldest daughter. But then I went back and I retook the whole degree with the Open University when I was having my second and third kids. So it all kind of came round and, you know, all made sense in the end.
Right. Okay, so what pulled you guys from Wales to Hong Kong?
So my husband got a job that allowed flexibility. His office is in San Francisco. We would go there quite a lot, sort of several times a year, and we really fell in love with San Francisco. And we kind of got the idea that we would like to move abroad somewhere. But then we went on one trip to San Fran, and lots of things happened. Like on several occasions, people sort of shouted at or did things to our daughter, who I guess was 4 at the time, and she became quite sort of scared. On one occasion, I saw a man pull a gun on like a 7-Eleven. He sort of was going crazy and pulled a gun out. And lots of things like that. And we went to look round. My husband's family are on his father's side are from Hong Kong, so he always had a passion for Cantonese anyway. So we decided that we would look around some Cantonese immersion schools there. But we just weren't really very impressed. So then we thought, okay, if we could move anywhere, then where, if San Fran is sort of a no-go. So then we decided on Hong Kong.
Nice.
We'd been here twice before and had a really nice time. So yeah, so that was when we moved here 6 years ago.
How long did that process of deciding take?
I think the year before we actually moved, we came here for a month, and that was when we were really thinking this is sort of almost like a small trial run. And that, I remember on that trip we were doing things like thinking about, like we visited Sha Tin, and we kind of thought this is maybe where we would choose to base ourselves. So I think I believe that was the year before we decided to make the final jump.
So one of the things that I do, slurp away. You're drinking your coffee.
I was trying to do it so quietly.
It's totally fine. Listen, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. People have to listen to my voice, so it's totally fine. So before we came, so one of the things I do in my job is we do a lot of things like strategic planning sessions for organizations to help them. It's very corporate-y stuff. Okay. Little did I know, my wife and I were in Montreal. It's February. In 2003. In Montreal in February, it's like minus 20 or minus 30 degrees outside. It's like full on awful. The jobs in Montreal weren't great. It's a great city, but not... go for it. It's okay. What you can't see is she's drinking it through her nose. Okay, and so we did a strategic planning session for ourselves as a couple. And it sounds kind of weird to put it that way, but we just said, where are we now? Where would we like to be, and how do we make that happen? And that process took about 2 weeks of research, but that decision, so you kind of make that decision, okay, we're going to do this. And then, so once you decide, okay, we're going to move to Hong Kong, how long did it take for you guys to realize that, to actually...
I'm trying to think now. I believe that the pregnancy threw a bit of a spanner in the works, because like I say, we moved here when Erin was 3 months old. We moved here just before my birthday and just before Christmas. So in many ways, it really wasn't a great time to move. I'm trying to remember. I have such terrible memory. I'm trying to remember why we sort of decided to make that the... Oh, now I know why. It was because I was starting a course at the Chinese University of Hong Kong starting in January. That was why. So even though...
Weapons of the Rich and Famous? What was that course?
It was Cantonese.
That's Cantonese,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought we were still going with the theme of terminology. Okay, Cantonese, nice.
Yeah, so we really wasn't ideal circumstances to move, really.
Right.
But we just needed to get in before the January start date.
Sure. Okay, let's talk about the photography then. So were you doing photography back then? Like, how does photography interweave into your life?
So I've always, had a camera in my hands, be it, a proper DSLR or just my phone. I'm always kind of taking pictures, and I don't know. I always kind of felt like, so the last picture is kind of, it kind of explains this a little bit better, but I was just always the one at events and stuff who would always take pictures. But then when COVID happened, I really felt like I wanted to sort of really think about what I actually wanted to do with my life. And, like every other English person in Hong Kong, I teach because it's I love kids. I love my students. I have to say that in case they're listening. But I love the kids. But, it's not where my kind of full passion is. And so I just kind of, thought, how can I really sort of, do something that I really love. I also started doing stand-up comedy, which again was kind of a bit of a, crazy thing that I was always very scared of doing. But
I totally respect you for that.
I mean, you should see me perform and then decide whether you respect me.
Just going up there.
No, but well, yeah, it's a terrifying thing. But then, in some ways, it's quite liberating. That was my biggest fear, like putting myself out there to be judged by people and have people not like me. That
just
was
stare
my,
at you blankly. Like,
yeah,
you suck.
Yeah, and then maybe judging my personality. That was my absolute biggest fear. And so in some ways it's quite freeing to just get up there and just do it and say, well, now I've done it, so there's nothing else to worry about.
How is that not inspiring? I mean, I love that. I love, I've had different people I talk to and stuff, and I think it's just the day, their life goes in that kind of way, and then you just like, yeah, but I want to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And then so what was the lever that made you actually write down the jokes and I don't know if you wrote them, but finally, what was the thing that kind of pushed you?
So the thing, or should I say, the person who pushed me was my friend. She had just started running a new open mic.
Oh.
And I had been, I'd been sort of saying, I want to try it for a while. And she was the one who pushed me, and she said, I've signed you up for next week. You need to just do it. And so I remember I spent every single night writing and perfecting and trying to sort of memorize everything, because there's nothing like a really scary deadline to kind of kickstart you into.
Sure.
I'm a big procrastinator, and I need those deadlines to get me to do things.
Oh wow! Oh, it's great. That's great. And
but for the photography, so that was just really trying to evaluate what brings joy to my life and how I can make a career out of it. And I just felt like I feel like I have an okay eye for photography and composition and stuff, but the technological side was just not particularly there. Like I could do some basic things and some very basic edits, but again, because I'm such a perfectionist, I told myself, like, at some point in the future you can maybe you can do a course or blah blah blah, don't do it until then. And then I just sort of decided, no, I'm just going to start now and just build it from, most people, everyone starts from somewhere.
I love it. Yeah. I love it.
So I one time we were in quarantine for 2 weeks, and I just decided these 2 weeks I am going to make myself a website, and I'm going to put that perfectionist side voice to one side, just get like a MVP, like a, what do you call it?
An MB what?
MVP, like a something viable product. What is it called? Minimal viable product. Okay. So just something out there so that I can just have some kind of skeleton of a career, I guess. So I just did that in those 2 weeks. I even started to build a portfolio just using my husband and my 3 kids, using like these lamps.
Nice.
I already had the camera, so just kind of just get it done and just.
Good for you.
So I've really built it from there. So that was only maybe 6 months ago.
And here you are on a podcast talking about your photography.
Yeah,
I love it.
Could have been months ago if I'd have replied to your email.
No, it's all good. It all happens when it's supposed to happen. I love it. What I really kind of get a kick out of, I saw your images more studio based. And then I say, hey, I've got you on the podcast, send me 3 images. And most people take it as an opportunity to show off their better work. And not to say this isn't good. No, like, but you send me images that are an image is evocative of a certain time and place and all that stuff. Some people use images to sell a product. So it's not even about a time and place. Here you are, a kind of neophyte commercial photographer, like professional. I want to make money from photography. So yeah, I think it's on the one hand interesting, on the other hand maybe a bit there's a bit of fear there.
The like imposter syndrome. I still have that to some extent. I'm getting better at turning that voice down and just saying everybody, I've just heard that this is actually very common.
Yeah. You're a human being.
Yeah, and everybody starts out and actually it's even getting to the point now where I am getting clients through, I have no idea how, they're not sort of friends of friends. I have no idea how, and that just feels amazing. I feel like I'm doing it and I'm,
So plug your website.
Oh, okay. When is this podcast coming out? I need to revamp it before it comes out.
It's live right now. Right now it's live. It's being broadcast but only to one person in Lithuania who doesn't speak English. No, come on. What is the URL?
Okay, so it's
Be big.
So it's www.asherchanphotography.com.
How do you spell your name?
ASHER. HER.
What's a H?
H-E in local terms.
H. Sorry, I'm just being an idiot.
How would you say it? H.
H.
How would you say it?
H. It's okay.
H. I was going to say. There is an
You're going to be like, I'm talking to this idiot who's just getting on my case. So Asher.
Yeah.
A-S-H-E-R.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chan. How do you spell Chan?
C-H-A.
There it is again. C. Luckily, I have a pop filter over the mic. I'm just being an idiot. CHAN.com?
Asher Chan Photography.
Asher Chan Photography.
Don't ask me how to spell.
I don't know how to spell photography, but it's .com.
Yeah,
It'll
.com.
be in the description. Oh, dude, listen, fist bump, elbow bump. Oh, that was good. That's really good. Let's go to the third photo. This is so funny. Okay. This is great. Let me dive in. Okay, so here is the image is essentially, say the top fifth of the image is sort of the Hong Kong trees overlooking, and the bottom 4/5 of the image is just water. So is that the canal with Châtel?
Yeah.
And out of the canal is one lone tree, and on that tree is do you know the species of the bird?
I believe it's a crane, but
okay.
I could be
so it's
totally
this
wrong.
white, yeah, it looks like a crane.
It's just a total guess.
It's off in the distance, and the image is mostly dominated really by the reflections of the trees, what looks like an expressway, more trees, and then the sort of tall buildings that are Hong Kong living estates or apartment blocks. So why this? Did you
get the other image that I sent as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So what happened here was, it's a funny story, and I had permission to tell it. So me and my husband were walking down the canal, and we see this crane on the thing, and he was like, "Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Okay, I'm going to take a picture." And he took a photograph that was so terrible. Like, do you see it? Did you?
I'll include it.
Sure.
I'll include
okay,
it.
Sure. It was just a terrible photo. Like, he just, it was so grey and miserable, and just the angle was so wrong. And yeah, the listeners can see
Not
it.
that you're a harsh critic.
And like it's like, I have permission.
I live with him. I can humiliate him without him in the room. Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it was just such a terrible photo. And so I was like, right, stop. Okay. So I just got my phone out and just moved slightly to the left and just took it and angled it and, kind of, and I created this image, which, has all this lush green, and it's kind of, the crane is quite centered. This is our home as well. Mm-hmm. And just what I consider to be quite a nice image, but the contrast between his photograph and mine really kind of highlighted that. I find it quite symbolic that, like, you can just, it sort of, for me, it symbolizes what is important about photography. Like, It's so easy to take a shot and it not be particularly aesthetically pleasing or anything. Like, if you take a selfie, like, the slightest angle can make all of the difference. Mm-hmm. And for me, we were both looking at the same thing, but the way he took that photograph for me was just, and it really kind of kickstarted me thinking that, maybe I could kind of do this professionally, or, maybe I have quite a good eye for it, because to me, looking at that, I could see instantly how to get the good shot, like, how, exactly how to maneuver to just. But David, bless him, just his skills lie elsewhere. Say that.
To be art shamed by your spouse. It's so sad. Okay.
I have to be better than him at one thing. Just one thing.
Is it okay for me to use that other image?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, we have his permission.
But okay, let's dive into that because that's also interesting. Have you ever had any formal training in aesthetics, in
Nope.
photography?
No, nothing.
So self-taught.
Yeah.
Okay. So earlier we were talking about how photography can be, it's like language. It can be, you can use just junk words. You can say garbage. But some people put some words together, some ideas together, and it's poetry, it's moving, revolutionary, blah, blah, blah. So how do you tie that in terms of that you're both standing there, you're both looking at the same thing, and you're both reacting, but you have certain skills that make you a little bit better at expressing or capturing or whatever?
I don't even know whether it's skills, really. I mean, I think it's more of a mindset, because we were both seeing with our eyes, it looked beautiful, but for him, I guess he just... I feel like he isn't as conscious of how to capture sort of, he sort of, it sounds awful. He also almost doesn't really.
Let's separate it from let's separate him from as a type, as a kind of as a, and you as a type. So, so it's not really about the personal, like, but it's more about, if you're talking about types, separating groups of people and how they think and see and all this stuff, how could you frame that?
He's very mathematical, scientific, and I'm more sort of creative and personable, that sort of thing.
Okay. So is it opposites?
For sure. Oh, yeah,
it is?
100%. Yeah. We have nothing in common. Absolutely not.
Yin and yang. I got it. So he must be an extrovert.
Is that a joke? I'm the extrovert. No,
you are.
You don't think? Why would I? I wouldn't let you in my house if I was so scared.
I know people who go on stage. You're usually pretty introverted.
I don't know. I'm
totally joking.
Funny
no,
yeah.
I'm totally being an idiot.
Oh my God.
Messing around.
You did your version of hiding a chocolate button face in an ice cream.
I don't know what that. Oh, right. Yes.
That's called a callback in the comedy.
Okay. Oh, it is. Okay, got it. No, that's good. But so, like, in terms of types, like, it's... So you listened to the podcast with my daughter. And what was interesting about that was I put her on the spot and I said, okay, well, articulate what is photography to you? Okay. So that's pretty young to be able to kind of to turn to somebody and say, okay, talk about aesthetics or talk about whatever. And you can ask that same question to somebody who's 50 and the reaction might not be especially interesting to listen to. Why do you think that happens? Not that I'm saying that you're David, right? Not that I'm saying that David doesn't have an opinion, but as a type, though, maybe it was just an off day or like...
For sure, yeah. He definitely has his moments. He takes beautiful pictures of the children and things. I guess for me, again, the perfectionist side of me, in my photography, I really go out of my way to try and get that perfect shot. And it drives the kids crazy when I'll sort of climb on things to get that perfect angle and, climb. I did a shoot recently. It was like an outdoor fitness shoot. And I was like literally on my hands and knees manually picking the litter out and, like the grass was wet, but I was just on my knees to get the, and sort of for me, there's nothing I will not do to get that perfect shot kind of thing. Yeah, it's just my style, I guess.
No, it's great. So why don't you describe what kind of photography you're doing? So in terms of trying to get your name out there, is it mostly images of people? Is it mostly...
So for now, because I started in these Corona times, it's mostly, either studio or outdoors, people, like portraits, headshots for maybe actors or comedians, some kind of babies, families, outdoor shots. I have done some events and some weddings, and I guess I'm hoping that, when Corona has finally gone away, I can do more of that kind of stuff. Events are really... I really love events.
But right now, are there a lot of events?
So in between, like the third wave and the fourth, they sort of came back, and I was shooting comedy shows and some theatre things and like an improv festival, and you know, so there was a brief window where there was some things going on.
These were paying gigs?
Some of them, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
if for somebody who was inspired by you to say, I'm gonna try to do this. So you put together a website. You sort of displayed your gallery, and then you just started telling people, and then slowly but surely, people start hiring you.
So I think the first thing that I did was I hired a studio for the day. I got a bunch of my sort of comedian friends, just people that I was comfortable with and, would be okay with me kind of fiddling about with lighting and, be quite patient with me. So I just shot all of them and so it sort of built up my portfolio just sort of slowly but surely, and again just tried to quieten the voice that was telling me like you're not doing this fast enough or you're not getting enough gigs or and just sort of try and do it slowly but surely, and I definitely think that I'm on track. That it's going better than I expected actually. Nice. Especially with the pandemic. It's I'm happy with the current level. Yeah.
What was the most unexpected happy accident? Of course, one of them is that somebody just reaches out and you're like, how did you find me? But was there one that was just like bonkers? Like you're just like, this is just really, I can't even come close to explaining this.
I'm not sure really. I guess that there's plenty of people there's a few people that have got in touch with me and I've done shoots with them, and then when I've kind of added them on WhatsApp and then it comes up as recommended friends, I'm like, oh, we actually have loads in common, and we could have talked about this, that and the other on the day, but we ended up not doing because we thought we were kind of total strangers, but we actually had, I don't know, 18 friends in common or whatever. But I feel like so far, touch wood, I've never had a bad shoot really. Like they've all gone pretty well, and wow. I've been happy with the images and happy with the interactions, and with my shoots I always try and just make it a pleasant experience for everybody. And also, when someone puts a camera in your face and says smile, the last thing you want to do is smile. Like it's and you can really see the difference between an authentic, like genuinely happy smile and just a kind of forced.
So you haven't smiled once this whole hour. It's like talking to
complete stone face.
It's crazy. Is that how you are on stage?
That is exactly how I am on stage. My entire life is one moody face.
Right. Are your children ever moody with you?
Oh, of course, all the time. Especially my youngest. Oh my goodness.
How old's your youngest?
She's 4.
Four. 4-year-olds. Come on.
Oh my god. She comes out with the most outrageous things. Kids sort of say like, I hate you, and they get a reaction. She has gone beyond that point now where she says things like, why did you even give birth to me? And like, I just wish that I'd never been created, and I don't know, I wish the universe would end. And
I love stand-up, and photography is it's a social thing in your case because you're making photographs of people and so I can imagine trying to get people to smile and everything and just to interact and engage with you. But do you ever get gigs, especially if it's more serious or whatever, where it has to be a little bit more... I'm
trying to think. Some sort of more corporate things. But even then, like, I think I'm always cracking jokes, and I think even a corporate or like a fashion shoot where they will not be laughing and they have to have that kind of model-y face. I still think to get them relaxed is really important. Right. So I did like a sort of fashion shoot recently where every single shot the model was not smiling. But I got a few and I sort of actually kept them because they're really sort of sweet little smile, when they're sort of trying to not and their little mouths kind of coming up at the corners. But still, I think, again, having a nice experience is really important.
Sure.
Okay, maybe getting good shots is also important, but I think, nobody wants to kind of go and do something and then be like, oh, that was awful. And,
right.
Even if the shots are good, I just hated every second of it. And I personally don't really like having my picture taken. I do feel quite awkward, and I much prefer being on the other side of the camera. So I for me, there's a lot of value in someone who is there being sort of silly and kind of, making you feel relaxed.
Yeah.
And especially with children, that's really important.
So do you do photographs of I don't even know right now with COVID if there's a large demand for this, but images of very young children for corporate use or
Not for corporate use, no. Just sort of family-based. Yeah, no, just for the parents.
right.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, I guess the sort of advertising world, is something that maybe in the future that I could look into, but it's not really. I think weddings would be my next big thing that I would like to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done a few weddings recently, and they were for my friends, but not my sort of well, some was my close friends.
Like,
and some,
why is the
some were not.
photographer crying?
Yeah, exactly.
What's
I was
your
like,
problem?
oh my god, it's so beautiful. And look across at the crowd, and they're all just stone faced, and I'm like, are you not seeing this? They just took their mask down to kiss, and like, yeah.
Oh, nice. So the previous guest I had, she was doing the profiles of foot binding.
Okay.
And so she'd go into China, and look, foot binding is a very sensitive
Sure.
problem. It's a pretty intense topic, and so she'd gone specifically out, and in a weird, controversial way, I guess. She was she was making a case for it actually being a feminist. There's a feminist pillar within that, even though when you listen to it from the outside, you look at it from the outside, it's also kind of abhorrent or whatever you want to call it. And I can understand why she would think and feel that way, and how that's also legitimate. But one of the advice that she got was, you're doing all these projects, but you have to focus. So your journey as a photographer has brought you, to doing these things. You think, I'd like to do weddings, and do you feel there's an audacious end or goal you would like to reach, where after you put away, you've cleared certain milestones, you're like, okay, now I can do the big thing. So do you have?
I suppose for me, possibly weddings would be the end point, because for me, because I'm so crazy about weddings, I know all of the little traditions and everything. I know, and obviously when I was getting married, I planned everything. I did all of the little details and spent like 2 years planning, or something crazy.
Oh wow.
And so I know how much work goes into all of those little details, and how important it is to, it's one day, but you need to capture every little thing. So for me, I was always, especially kind of big weddings, I would be sort of careful to make sure that I was up to the right standard. Like I wouldn't want to go and not do a good job. So for me, that would sort of be the end goal.
On the spectrum of things, I have done a few weddings when I was doing when I was paid for the photography, and that was probably one of my least. Because making people happy as in customer service and whatever, for sure, you're there at such an important time, and if you screw up, everybody's going to remember and look at you like.
Sure.
But I think it actually, if you take it down and you think about it, that could be an extremely high intensity project,
yes,
right?
Yes, for sure.
So you want to go right into the eye of the.
Eventually, I feel like that would be my kind of end. Like at some point, that's where I would like to be. For now, I really enjoy, sort of small events and little shows, and kind of just sort of. I just really love people, to be honest, and so for me, interacting with people on a big scale or a little scale or any kind of is just really lovely for me.
You're saying this, and what you say and what I see are perfectly in alignment. Like, you clearly love people, and you clearly, somebody who thinks about it says, okay, of all the things you're kind of drawn to, of all of the things you could be drawn to, it's like, I want to be there when a couple is at both simultaneously the happiest and the most freaked out and then stressed out, and you have to love people to just say, I'm gonna dive right in there.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, Asher, thank you very much. I hope so many people listen to this, and again, if you want to feel good because you're feeling sad, check out the first photograph. So sweet. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.